Hello, my name is Liene and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my favorite books of 2023 video. The year is over, 2023 is gone and the new year is here, so it's time to talk about the favorite books that I've read last year. I have 6 books to talk about and 2 honorary, what is that the right word, mentions, because those were the rereads, so 8 books in total. So first, I've talked multiple times about my favorite book, one of my favorite books, and it is Daddy Longlegs by Jean Webster. This is a nostalgic story. It might not be perfect, but it's still a favorite story because it just, I don't know, it warms my heart. This time I reread it in English. I have English edition and I have a Latvian edition, multiple editions, and then there is this radio play here in Latvian that I like to listen to as a reread kinda. I definitely love this book. I don't know, I will love it forever, I feel like. And the other is A Doy of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I read this for the first time in 2022 and I decided to reread it. And 2023, like a year later, I have this beautiful Fairy Loot edition, and yeah, I still love it. I still really enjoyed it. It is a vampire story. We follow Constanta as she's writing kinda a letter, kinda a diary. Starts at the moment where she met kinda her husband, like the main vampire that turned her, until some moment in time. So we follow that story and it is really interesting. It is dark, but it is really interesting and I really enjoyed it second time too. And there is an extra chapter at the end that wasn't in the edition that I read it for the first time. We have a little snippet from the future, so it was also interesting to read that. But now let's move on to the favorite books. I'm gonna start with the 2 children's books. First one will be The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo. It's a story about a bunny who at the beginning isn't very nice. Like, he's a toy. He is owned by a kid, but he's not a nice thing. He's very full of himself. But then when he gets lost, he needs to learn things. It was heart-wrenching, like heart-breaking to see how people treat him when he is found over and over again. He goes from hand to hand, kinda, like his story doesn't involve just one person or family, but it was a bit tough. At the same time, it was a really good story about this bunny and what he learned on his journey. And then I have a cat book, The Book Cat by Polly Faber, illustrated by Clara Vullime, and this is such a cutely illustrated book. I really love the illustrations. There's not a lot of color, like the orangey reddish one is the only color we have, but we follow a cat. I believe it was the Second World War, and our main little kitty, he loses his family, his mother and sister, and he's orphaned, and then it's about his life, about how he finds a home in a publishing house. That's why he's a book cat. He helps authors and yeah, it is a super cute story. My favorite thing though is the illustrations. I know, look at him. And a bunch of little kitties. It's so cute. Then I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I read the whole first trilogy in this series, in the Red Rising saga, and I enjoyed the whole trilogy, but I think the first book is my favorite because I was so kind of surprised and pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed the book as much as I did, because I was really scared to read it because it is a beloved book and a lot of people love it, and I was scared that I'm gonna dislike it. It is a story about Darrow, who is a red. In this world we have people divided by color. The reds are the lowest, and they work down in the Mars and they dig for the substance to get the planet terraformed. But one day, Darrow finds out that they've been lied to, and that people have been living on this planet for hundreds and hundreds of years already. When his wife is murdered, he kind of gets a chance. I don't want to spoil things, how things happen, but he joins a rebel movement and he infiltrates our highest, and that starts his journey. We have a survival kind of game in this one when he goes to join the Reds to go through these kind of trials, tests, and one of it is like a brutal game that they have to go through. He gains new friends and he learns new things about the world. He has a lot to learn, if you can imagine, because he doesn't know a lot of things, but it is really interesting story. And the second and third book, I think I enjoyed less because in this series there's a lot of violence, a lot of fighting, a lot of bad things happen, and no one is safe. You don't know who's gonna be killed next. But yeah, I think it got too much because I read them too close together, so it was harder to enjoy them because of the violence kind of thing. I still really enjoy the whole series, but the first one is my favorite. Then I have a book that has a much lighter note, and it is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is a story about Amelia Wilde. She's a scholar and a researcher who is writing the Encyclopedia of Fairies. So everything that she can find out about fairies, she's gonna put in the encyclopedia, like, so other people can know too. So she's traveling all around and researching things, and now she goes to this island to learn about this particular kind of fairies that live there. Then her friend and professor from the university unexpectedly joins her there, and they have an adventure, let's call it. She does some maybe stupid things, but the romance that is kinda there, the way they interact with one another and things that are happening was so good. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed their relationship, how they talked, how they discussed things, and how things happen. I really enjoyed the relationship between Emily and Wendell. And also there is a big dog. I am mostly cat person. If you can see, I have a kitty there, but the dog was really interesting. I liked the backstory of the dog, how Amelia got the dog. That was really interesting. So yeah. Then I have The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. This once again was a really surprising book because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I picked it up not knowing a lot about it and not expecting much, and then when I read it, I got so into the story that I was excited. I really loved this one. It is about Winnie. She is a young girl, 16, doesn't really matter, but she lives in a town where there is this kind of ancient secret order, the Luminaries, who protects the town from the forest that is at the edge of the city, that is full of dangerous things that can kill. They go there at night to protect the town from the things that might come out. So our main character really wants to be in that order, but when her father has betrayed them and marked as their enemy and he just leaves, she is forbidden to do so, and her family is kind of exiled. They live there, but they are not treated very nicely. They are not invited anywhere anymore. But she still wants to join the society, the order. You have to go through these trials. There are things you have to do, and if you go through them and you come out alive, so you succeed, you can join them and help to protect the town. And she does that in spite of her kind of not being allowed and not being trained for quite some time. And it's about that. The forest is really interesting because there are a lot of creatures that live there, but they come out at night, like werewolfy kind of things and other dangerous beings. I don't know why I can remember only werewolves, but our main character has really read everything she can read and learned about the creatures that live there, that they know that live there. And also there is this mystery going throughout the story because something happened and no one can explain what actually happened, and no one is telling her things because she's like pushed out of that society's part. So yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised and I really enjoyed this. I need to read the sequel. I have the sequel, so I hope I will like it as much as this one. And the last book I'm going to talk about is Lessons in Chemistry by Bunny Garmas. And this is a story about Elizabeth, who is a chemist. She works in a research center where there is all male. And it is happening in the 1960s, and women are not really considered being capable of being smart, especially in her field in chemistry, where men constantly take her opinion for granted. Then we follow her a few years later, where she hosts a cooking show on the TV live. And yeah, it was really interesting to read about Elizabeth because she's not accepting how she's treated. She knows that she's smart and she doesn't allow people to kind of disregard that. She knows stuff, and if people doesn't believe her, she is not hiding that she thinks she's smart and she knows. She talks back, but at the same time there is hard stuff in this book that it is hard to read about. It made me angry mostly because of the way that women are treated and not taken seriously. It is really annoying, but it is like a part of our history, the world's history, unfortunately. But I can say that I recommended this book for someone at work that works in chemistry, and she really enjoyed it. I'm so happy that I recommended a book to someone who really loved it too. And I feel like she felt special connection because she's a chemist too. These were my favorite reads of 2023. I know there's not a lot, but these are the ones that stuck in my mind the most, that I remember until now. Because most of the books, I read them and then I remember a little snippets maybe, but mostly I don't remember them. That's my brain. But yeah, these were my favorite books. Please let me know in the comments down below some of your favorite reads from last year. I would definitely like to know that. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I see you in the next one. Bye!